Okay, let's just dive right into this. Picture this scenario because it's probably pretty familiar. Most people wake up at 6 a.m., down a cup of coffee, fight their way through an absolutely agonizing morning commute, and then sit in a gray cubicle for 8 straight hours. And after all that, they fight the exact same traffic on the way home, binge some Netflix, go to sleep, and wake up to do it all over again. 5 days a week for 40 years. And then, at the end of it all, they look at their bank account and seriously wonder why they aren't rich. Well, here's the thing. The problem isn't your work ethic. You are working incredibly hard. The problem is exactly where you are working. There are basically 4 distinct ways to make money in this world, which we call the 4 Cashflow Quadrants. And sadly, 95% of the world is completely stuck in the wrong one.
90,000. Let that number sink in for a second. That is the exact number of hours the average person spends working over their lifetime. To put that into perspective, that is 10 full years of your life, completely awake and working. But here's the really brutal reality of that statistic. Most of that time, it's spent making someone else incredibly wealthy. You are literally pouring the absolute prime decades of your life into building another person's empire. So again, your exhaustion, your burnout, that isn't the root issue here. The system you're participating in is.
So I want to ask you a very serious question right now. Be totally honest with yourself. If you stopped working today, and I mean no more clocking in, no more biweekly salary, how long could you actually survive financially? Are we talking 1 week, maybe 1 month, 6 months if you're incredibly lucky? If answering that question scares you even a little bit, you really need to listen closely to this explainer because you are trapped in a zone of financial danger right alongside 95% of the population. But don't worry, because today we are going to map out your exact escape route. Chapter 1, the 9-to-5 Wealth Trap. Let's get right into it. So this framework was originally mapped out by Robert Kiyosaki, and it honestly explains the entire financial world perfectly. You've got 4 letters here. E stands for employee, S is for self-employed, B is business owner, and I is investor. Let's start right at the top left with the E quadrant, because that's where most of us start. As an employee, the fundamental rule is that you trade your time for money. 1 hour of work equals 1 hour of pay. Sounds fair enough, right? But here's the massive catch. You cannot scale time. You can work 8 hours or maybe push it to 12 hours, but your income is mathematically, physically capped by the clock. And worse, if you get sick or if you get fired, your income drops to absolute zero overnight. In the E quadrant, you have absolutely zero leverage.
Let's just look at the raw math for a second. Let's say an employee is earning $50,000 a year, working 40 hours a week. That breaks down to about $24 an hour. Now, if you want to make $100,000, what do you have to do? You have to work 80 hours a week. There is a rigid, unforgiving physical limit to what your human body can actually do. Meanwhile, the average CEO earns 320 times what the average employee earns. And you know what? The system isn't broken at all. It's actually functioning exactly as it was designed to. It is explicitly designed to benefit the owners of the system, not the workers inside it. Which brings us to Chapter 2, the self-employed illusion. A lot of really smart people realize that the 9-to-5 is a trap. So what do? They decide to become freelancers or consultants, or they open up a private medical practice. They move themselves over to the S quadrant. But we need to bust a massive myth right here, right now. Yes, as a self-employed person, you absolutely control your hourly rate. But here is the kicker. You still trade your time for money. Except now you get zero paid time off. No corporate benefits. All the financial risk, the confusing accounting, the late nights stressing over clients, it's entirely on your shoulders. Why? Because in the S quadrant, you are the product. You didn't actually buy your freedom. You just bought yourself a much harder job with a way worse boss. And that boss is you.
Let me give you a perfect example. Take Sarah. Sarah is a highly skilled graphic designer operating in the S quadrant. She's crushing it, making $150,000 a year. Sounds amazing, right? A total dream setup. But the reality is, she works 60 hours a week. She's constantly handling tedious client revisions, chasing down unpaid invoices, pitching for new business, and doing all her own taxes. So when Sarah decides she's burnt out and needs to take a 2-week vacation just to breathe, she doesn't just pay for her flights and hotels. No, because she isn't working those 2 weeks, she loses exactly $5,000 in unearned income while she's sitting on that beach. She might be self-employed, but she is fundamentally trapped by the clock, just like the employee is.
All right, Chapter 3, Build Systems, Buy Freedom.
Now this is where the magic actually happens. This is the monumental leap from S, being self-employed, to B, becoming a true business owner.
And it all comes down to one magical word: leverage. In the E and S quadrants, you are working in your business, using exactly one pair of hands, your hands. But in the B quadrant, you step back. You work on your business, utilizing thousands of pairs of hands. Just think about Ray Kroc and the McDonald's empire. Ray Kroc did not stand in the back of the kitchen sweating and flipping burgers himself. No way. He built a replicable system where thousands of other people flipped burgers, and he collected a percentage from every single store. A true business owner builds a machine that operates entirely without their physical presence.
Now, I know exactly what you might be thinking. Okay, that's great, but I don't have millions of dollars to go start a massive business or buy a franchise. Look, that is a completely outdated myth. Thanks to the internet, you can build incredibly powerful systems today for practically $0. You could set up a marketing system. We're talking automated ads and sales funnels that capture leads and sell products while you are fast asleep. Or you could build a distribution system. That means starting a YouTube channel, selling digital products, or leveraging something like Amazon FBA. All it really takes today is a laptop, a smartphone, and internet access to build a digital machine that prints money 24/7.
Take Mike, for instance. Mike was a software engineer making a very respectable 120 grand a year, but he was totally stuck in the E quadrant. He knew he needed out. So he spent 6 months just working on nights and weekends, building a simple software tool to help small businesses manage their invoices. Nothing crazy. But 2 years later, he had 3,000 customers paying him $29 a month. You do the math. That is $87,000 every single month in recurring revenue. And it was completely passive. He didn't have to clock in for it. He eventually turned around and sold that software for $2 million. Mike didn't work millions of hours to get that money. He simply built a system that worked without him.
Chapter 4. Make money work for you.
Once you have a business system producing cash, it is time for the absolute ultimate destination, the I quadrant, the investor phase. This is the promised land. This is where your money never sleeps, it never complains, and it never ever asks for a sick day. The I quadrant is simply the act of putting your money into assets. We're talking stocks, real estate, intellectual property, assets that generate more money without a single second of your physical effort. Look at Warren Buffett. He didn't get to a net worth of $100 billion by working 100 billion hours. That's literally impossible. He let his money compound over time. In fact, the average millionaire has 7 different streams of income sitting right here in this quadrant, like dividends, rental income, and capital gains. If you still don't believe me, here is the absolute, concrete mathematical proof. If you take just $500 a month, which is very doable for a lot of people, and you consistently put it into an S&P 500 index fund, earning an average 10% return, in 30 years, you will have over $1 million. You did not break your back earning that million. Your money did the heavy lifting and earned that million for you. That is the sheer, undeniable power of the I quadrant.
Chapter 5. Your 5-year escape plan. Let's make this actionable. So the million-dollar question is, how do we actually get you there? I really need you to pay close attention to this part because most people make an absolutely fatal mistake right here. They get frustrated and they try to jump straight from their boring E quadrant job directly into the I quadrant. They take their entire paycheck, gamble it on volatile crypto or risky options trading, and they lose absolutely everything. You cannot skip steps. You must follow what we call the safe shift sequentially. Step 1, master a high-income skill so you can move from employee to self-employed. Step 2, build a scalable system around that specific skill to graduate to business owner. And finally, step 3, take those massive business profits and invest them into assets. Build the income, systematize that income, and then invest it. That's the formula.
All right, let's start with step 1. You need a high-income skill to get this engine started. Things like copywriting, programming, sales and marketing, video editing, web design. The best part, you don't need a 4-year college degree for these. You can learn any of these in just 3 to 6 months of really focused, dedicated effort. If you go to literally any freelance job board right now, you will see thousands of businesses eagerly willing to pay $50 to $200 an hour for these exact skills. Learn just one of them, instantly double your earning potential, and take your first definitive step to escape the employee trap.
Okay, so now you're making great money as a freelancer in the S quadrant. It's time to execute step 2 and build the system. First, you document your exact process, step by step. Write down exactly how you deliver such great results. Next, you hire junior talent. You teach them your specific framework. And then, and this is the crucial part, you shift your role from doing the daily work to managing the team. Think about it. If you're a freelance copywriter, your income is capped by how fast you can type.
But if you hire 5 junior writers, you just review their work, they deliver it to the client, and suddenly your income is based on an entire team's output. You have officially uncoupled your income from the 24-hour clock. Welcome to the B quadrant. So what does this actually look like in practice? Here is a very realistic timeline. Year 1, you keep the safety and security of your day job, but you spend your nights and weekends building that high-income skill. Year 2, your side hustle is making enough that you can transition to being full-time self-employed. Year 3, you are fully booked, so you hire your first team members and start building those operational systems. Year 4, the systems are locked in and your business basically runs completely without you having to be there. Year 5, you take all those business profits, dump them into investments, and you can comfortably live off the passive income. We are talking 5 years to absolute financial freedom. Compare that to the depressing reality of grinding away in a gray cubicle for 40 years, hoping for a tiny pension. And look, if you think this is all just nice theory, look at the reality of people who actually did this. Remember Sarah? She was actually a teacher making 45 grand a year. She learned the skill, built a copywriting agency, and hit the I quadrant in just 3 years. We talked about Mike the engineer. He built his software tool and achieved freedom in 3.5 years. Then there's James. James worked tough construction jobs making 35 grand. He decided to start a YouTube channel sharing construction tips, eventually hired a video editor, and used his ad revenue to buy rental properties. It took him just 5 years. And Maria, a hardworking nurse, built a digital course, sold 2,000 copies online, and retired on dividend-paying stocks in 4 years. Every single one of them started exactly where you might be sitting today, with a job, with bills, and probably with a lot of doubts. But they did it. Please do not let this be just another explainer that you watch, get slightly motivated by, and then forget about by tomorrow morning. I want you to grab a pen right now, literally right now. Write down your first 3 steps for today. Commit to just 6 months of extreme, undivided focus on learning one high-income skill. Tape that commitment to your bedroom wall, look at it every single morning, and finally make the decision to execute your escape. You have the exact roadmap laid out in front of you now. The only thing missing is your execution. If this explainer shifted your perspective today, help us out and subscribe for more deep dive wealth strategies just like this one. Let's really build a community and keep each other accountable. But before you close out of this, I want you to answer one final vital question down in the comments. Look closely at your life right now. Are you actively building your